Rise and shine, everybody. It's time to wake and bake with Craig Reed and Griff Martin.
It's a Stone Roadie show. All the skin formation that you need to know. Craig's got it all, so don't you go. It's time for the Stone Roadie show.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was killer. That's the best song you ever wrote. The Stone Roadie Show, podcast 299. Action. All righty then, fellow Stone Roadie Dimension. Yeah, that's what this is. That's a Stone Roadie Dimension. Yeah. And my name's Craig Reed, a.k.a. the Stone Roadie. This is my co-host, the rocket scientist, Griff Martin. And I guess we got a lot of questions this week. So, yeah, what are we going to talk about, Griff?
Oh, you know, Craig, you said that you have brain damage. Well, the other day I went to the doctor. And I came out and I walked into some lady's car and pulled the handle on it and tried to get in her car. And she's sitting in the driver's seat. I was like, what? And she was so nice, man. She's like, yeah, I saw you coming. I saw you coming. I knew you thought it was your car. And I was like, damn, you could have shot me. You know, the first thing I thought of was Craig. I said, maybe I got brain damage. But
yeah, I was talking about that the world's fastest guitar change last podcast we did, and there's a screenshot of it. Yeah, where I wasn't even the guitar roadie then. I think it was Chuck Flowers, but I saw Alan had busted a string, and Chuck was busy, so I went and grabbed him a guitar, and I can't even see what guitar. Well, I thought it was the Stratocaster I was handed him, but I can't even see what it is. But that's a picture of it. The only one I could find is somebody sent, the guy that screenshotted it sent it to me. He wanted me to sign it for him, so that's the only one I could find. So that's what that is behind me today there. So, okay, enough of that.
Yeah, there's a question in here about, somebody asked, but I'll wait till we get to it. It's a pretty interesting question. I'm curious to see what your answer is going to be to it. I'll go ahead and ask it, being as how I got everybody wondering what it is. Bob asks, Craig, did you ever play the cowbell on Give Me 3 Steps? I saw a video on YouTube of Skynyrd in 1988. Someone stood behind Artimus and played the cowbell. Was that you? And I looked at
Rod Gibson. He was a drummer, and he played. No, maybe not. I don't know who that was.
Well, it was on Lynyrd Skynyrd tribute tour, September 25th, 1988. And if you want to Google it on YouTube. Excuse me.
I don't remember who the drum roadie was.
And it's on the 4830 mark. So go look up Lynyrd Skynyrd Tribute Tour, September 25th, 1988. And Gary was really hitting the notes, man, on that. Give me 3 steps on that song. When you look at it, it's a very interesting video of Johnny and the guys. A very, very, I've never seen it. It's a great video, man. Thanks for that question there, Bob. But you don't know who it was, Craig?
I don't remember. Rod Gibson in the old in the 2000s, and I don't remember when Rod started, but he played bongos and some of the percussion stuff behind Artimus.
Maybe that
he was a drummer.
That's probably who it was then. I would say, if I had to say that guy's name again, Craig?
Rod Gibson.
Rod Gibson. So check that out, Bob. See if you can find out anything about it, and there's your answer, buddy. So Craig, you say you got some donations and some T-shirts or something that you wanted to
Yeah.
talk about?
Yeah. Somebody sent Gene Odom a little contribution. Brian Madison sent in another $95 for Gene. He sent in $100 previously, and that was split between Gene and Leslie. And he actually sent a check for $120, but he wanted one of them stickers that Clayton Johnson sent to me to sell for the survivors for $25 to put on his guitar case. So I'm gonna get that sticker right out to you, Brian. And everybody else has got a sticker coming. I got all the got everything all addressed, and I'm loading them up, and yeah, you'll be getting your stickers here real quick. I'm sorry I'm such a asshole. I haven't sent them damn things out yet, and
A crook.
yeah, I'm a crook,
Well, you don't know what to do with yourself now that you're only doing the podcast one day a week. So
Angela Lynyrd got her jacket sent out to her, and I'm getting her stuff together, and then Dave the Disciple, I'll be sending his stuff out, and then I'll be sending stuff out here. You'll all be getting your stuff pretty soon. You know, you'll get you know, I wish I could get that stuff sent out to you quicker, but I know you guys wish you could lose weight, but you can't do that, and
we weren't going to talk about that. Remember,
I can't seem to get these things sent out. But I guarantee you one thing: I'll get these things sent out before your fat ass will lose any weight. I'll bet you.
Oh
Yes,
man,
sirree, Bob.
here's somebody made a comment about about their prize, but it was a funny one. So when we go through the comments, we'll talk about that. But you got some shirts to show.
Oh yeah. Mary Fleming, filing. I'm sorry. I guess maybe I did say Fleming. It's filing. I'm pretty sure. Let me see.
Yeah, filing, Fleming, tomato.
Filing, yeah. I guess I mispronounced it the last time. She does the Rawson and Collins band page.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's filing. Yeah. And I mentioned before she was going to send some T-shirts to auction off for Randall Hall. She sent me these T-shirts, and I called Chad and I told him, I said, she sent me these T-shirts. There's one of these that's a medium, and then there's two of these that are mediums, and they're Gillian shirts. They're real nice shirts. I like the neck on them and stuff. They're real nice shirts. But I told Chad, I said, she sent mediums. He said, well, those are yours. I said, Chad, I don't wear them. He said, I told her not to send a large, or you would yell because you'd think you was fat. And I said, Chad, I wear medium shirts, nice dress shirts, but I wear a large T-shirt, and I tried to wear this one, but it's just too tight. It's a medium. I used to wear stuff like this when I was tight shirts like this when I was 20 years old, but I don't have the body I had when I was 20
You don't
years
have
old.
man boobs, do you, Craig?
No, but
Okay.
I don't
As long
have
as you
the
don't
body
have
I had
man
when I
boobs.
was 20, and all you women out there can identify to that situation.
Well, men too, because you're
Well,
one.
yeah, but yeah, I don't care about the men.
I'm trying to remember who. Oh,
But anyways, I got one of these in a medium and one in an extra large. And I can't wear the extra large either because it's too big. So I got, these are for Randall Hall. But these are nice shirts. These shirts cost at least $12 to make. And then she spent $8 to send it to me. So, and by the time I send it out, we got $26 in this shirt. So
that's why
it's for a donation, so got $26 in it, by the time we ship it out. So remember that when you go to bid on them, it's for a donation for Randall. And then I got two of these face shirts that are both medium. Now, these are nice shirts though. They're Gillian shirts.
Yeah, you're gonna have a hard time probably finding a skinny guy to wear that. But
it'd have to be some of you women can still wear a medium. I hate to.
Yeah, there's quite a few women that could still.
But I suppose there's a couple of guys out there that might be able to wear a medium, but it's too tight on me. I'm about 165 pounds. It's too tight on me. I used to wear shirts like that, tight words. But
Joe Crimp could wear one of those.
Joe Crimp could wear one.
A guy like Joe Crimp could wear one of those. Yeah. We were talking about not having a shirt on. Who goes around and still plays concerts without a shirt? Is Rick Springfield. The freaking guy's got like a washboard belly, man. And what is he, 75 years old, 80 years old or something? He's out there on stage. I don't know how old he is, but yeah, go check it out, man. The guy's freaking running around without a shirt on, and he looks, he might be drinking that Chrome. Who knows? But that was cool of her to donate those shirts. And then you gave Gene $500 because he needed to get his car worked on, and Craig didn't even really know how much he had in the kitty for Gene, and he just sent him a $500 check. So that'll hold Gene over until we get
we settled up. I forget when we settled up last time, around October, I think we settled up. And since then, we've sent Gene $2,500. We've sent Mark Frank $2,000. And we sent Mark Howard, Mark Frank, Paul Welsh, and Leslie all $1,000 out of this go around. So we still got a little more money to send everybody. Like I said before, I'd like to maybe keep collecting it until we can get up enough money to send everybody to Mississippi if they want to go, maybe, or whatever they need it for. I don't know. Donations are coming in kind of slow now, so anyway.
But we appreciate all the donations. In case anybody's just tuning in to the Stone Roadie Show for the first time, this is Craig Reed, the most famous stoned roadie in rock and roll history, and nobody will dispute that. And so he survived the plane crash, and he was with all the guys, the original Lynyrd Skynyrd band, and so we kind of collect up some donations and give them to all his, 5 of the plane crash survivors that aren't doing that well. So if you just
they'll have a lot of medical bills. Rest of them really don't have medical bills, prolonged medical bills.
Yeah, it gets it's hard enough getting old.
You fans are the only ones that have supported these forgotten survivors in the last 50 years. The fans are finally the ones that stepped up and supported them, like other people should have done, but they didn't.
Yeah, so we've raised about $50,000 so
Yeah, it's
far.
about that's close to it. We've had 35,000, and about
So I mean, and that's
close
because
to
you
it. Yeah.
guys sending in cool stuff, and we auction stuff off, and Brandon Campbell, Kent Griffith sent us a bunch of stuff to auction off. That helped quite a bit. We had a guy donate a dobro. That was really cool. All kinds
Javier
of
sent those jackets in, and
yeah, just all
Medina.
kinds of and if you've got cool stuff like that, it has to be something that like somebody mentioned they had tickets that was from the Greenville, or no, it was Baton Rouge, that I guess they still had their Baton Rouge tickets and they were going to donate them, and I never heard from them again. Maybe they figured that was worth some money and they needed it more themselves, which is fine. It's just whatever you guys want to do, but it's just interesting things like that the that the people have donated, and it then we did the Rockin' for a Reason down in Jacksonville, and we brought as many survivors as we could. We had the news down there. We played concert. We did Whitey's for Gary Rossington's celebration of life. So now we're kicking around an idea of doing a Lynyrd Skynyrd tribute Battle of the Bands, which I'm trying to dial in on that. And I actually got a first donator. Paul Conley said he would donate some of the plane crash stuff that we could auction off on the a piece of metal.
Yeah, he just got a bunch of new stuff from James Hughes.
Yeah, so people go, "Oh, it's morbid, the plane crash stuff. You're selling it." Well, you're selling it, and then you're paying the survivors with it. So what's morbid about it?
Yeah,
I mean,
I still got some Gary Rossington funeral brochures too.
yeah, and it's no
Oh
different.
no, you ruined that whole festive when you guys showed up down there and did that thing with Whitey's. It just ruined everything.
Yeah, it's no different
Ruined
than
the whole thing.
I always say it's no different than digging up a Civil War bullet. What's the difference? It's been so long ago, man. It's just. And what would Ronnie say? Ronnie would say, "Good for you, Craig. Good for you, Craig, raising money for all those guys that are in pain and need assistance, and because I'd damn sure be doing it if I was still
He
alive, and I
damn
know
sure
he
would.
Yeah, he would.
He's the one that talked to everybody, insisted everybody get on that plane.
That's why he would, and that's probably what he's doing. He grabbed me somehow, and said, "You're going to go hang out with a Stone Roadie, and you guys are going to do a podcast, and you're going to raise money." And he's orchestrating it from above. Maybe, who knows? That's
A
how
lot of
things work.
divine intervention going on somewhere. Yeah.
We've had a lot of great luck. I mean, look at Jesus for Survivors. How much money he
God,
donated. And we
Robert Wheatley and
Robert Wheatley. Oh my God,
Yeah,
Dave the Disciple. Look at all the
Dave-
stuff Dave
Dave
the
the
Disciple
Disciple.
did, and it's just And if we left you out, I mean, we just because we both have brain damage.
There's so many. Yeah. Yeah, there's a
But
lot.
yeah, so anybody wants to.
Angela Leonard. She's
Yeah, Angela.
she's done that a
Yeah,
lot.
Angela. And then the onesie twosie people that donate $100 this month, $50 last month. Next week they're putting in 10. There's just all kinds of very giving people in the Skynyrd in the Skynyrd dementia on the Stone Roadie show. Dimension. Welcome to my dementia.
Yeah, there's a lot of good folks out there. Yeah.
What the heck you been up to, Craig, ever since we've only going back to one podcast a week?
Yeah, we do one podcast a week, but I still talk on the phone 3 times a day. People want me to write a damn book. I say, I ain't writing a damn book. Oh, we were afraid you were going to quit doing these podcasts. I said, no, I'm not going to. I'm going to keep doing these as long as people got stuff they want to know about the original Skynyrd. God, I saw a Facebook post the other day telling a bunch of lies about Gary. They said Gary was married multiple times and had a child that died. All kind of crazy stuff. Where do people come up with this bullshit?
Oh yeah, it's definitely.
I mean, why? Why do they do it? I mean,
I saw a thing on Facebook today. They said Oprah was dead, and I go, I don't even believe it, And then all these people are commenting, "Where are you coming up with it?" You can tell it's BS. It's just clickbait. Clickbait's all.
a lot of that clickbait, you click on it and it said your computer is now infected.
Oh yeah.
Try to just block out. I just hit Control Alt Delete and make sure it's gone.
And then they've got like a little video up in the corner with all these other videos, and it looks like some lady with her legs spread, in a bikini, and then you click on it, and it's a freaking eggplant or something, and you're like, what the hell are they doing with that? Why are they doing it? It's clickbait, Not that I'm, that's just an example. Like a guy like Jimmy Withers probably get caught doing that, but.
Oh my God.
But yeah, so anyway, that's Craig is the Stone Roadie, and this is the Stone Roadie Show, and this is the 299th podcast.
299. Yeah.
One more to go, we'll break 300, and then it's all downhill after that, man.
Griff was saying, how in the hell did we do these 3 times a damn week? My God. I goes, yeah, I know.
It was like a full-time job,
Oh God, it's like, yeah, you get a day off, and if you got one thing to do, it takes up your whole day, and then the next day you're preparing to do a podcast. It's just like takes up your whole day.
Yeah, and but what we were trying to do was bombard the YouTube channel so they would raise up our subscriptions. So they said, oh yeah, well, we'll see about that. So they started taking subscriptions away and removing comments. So if you put a comment down below and you don't see it, that's because they removed it because they didn't like it. And so we've kind of cleaned up our act a little bit. Craig is he's on a fat shaming diet, literally, from the fat. He's trying not to talk about that too much. And then the politics, which there's still stuff going on in that world, but we don't really want to keep focusing on it. So we're going to do more of a Southern rock, Lynyrd Skynyrd thing, like how we started. And I noticed there's a lot more.
We didn't start this for monetization anyways. We just found out, people said, oh God, you guys are going to make $1 million doing this. What are you going to do with the money? And we said, well, we'll just donate it to the survivor. We didn't start doing this. We just started doing this to, because I didn't want to write a book, and I just figured that, if somebody wanted to know stuff, I'd, do a podcast and answer questions. So finally, that's where we're going with this.
Yeah, and I don't think we got monetized on the last one, or I don't know if we did or not. Do you know, Craig?
Well, it says we did, but I didn't see any commercials. So
yes, I didn't see any commercials. If you don't see any commercials, it means we're not getting paid. But there's plenty of them that we're not getting paid on because there's probably a couple times we came scary close from getting banned from the YouTube channel, I'm sure, some of the stuff. And then Craig was starting to go out, and he's starting to say a few things. I had to edit them out. I'm like, Craig, man, you can't. And he's like, it's true. And I go, just because it's true, man, you can't go around saying it, Yeah, and there was a few things I feel like would have probably banned us if I wouldn't have edited it out, which it's good that I do the editing, because if Craig did it, you wouldn't probably be watching the Stone Roadie Show right now. So
seems like there are more people jumping on the flat Earth bandwagon.
Oh, I had a conversation with my sister about it today, and she was just disgusted with it. She's like, I'm not going to be thinking the world is flat, so just stop right there, And I'm like, all right, well, you'll find out. You'll find out, because I was laughing at it too. But I don't know if it's round or flat. I just don't believe what I'm told anymore about anything, because they lied so much.
Well, on July, what is it? July the 8th or something like that. 98% of the Earth can see the sun. That's impossible on a round Earth.
Yeah, there's things
On
going
July,
on. We
I think
don't
it's
know.
July 8th or something like that. 98% of the people can see the sun at the same time, except Australia's way down there, so the perspective isn't right. I don't think they can see it at the same time. But
Then I think I heard that thing about underneath the pyramid. They're saying it's bullshit.
oh, really?
Yeah,
Huh.
there's some people saying, that's bullshit. You can't see anything with that ground penetrating radar that deep, and they're making it all up. And then I saw a video, and it looked like it was AI where they were going down, they are already down there looking around, and so I think that was BS too. So who knows, man?
Well, there's always been a lot of scuttlebutt about the underground cities and all that.
I believe that.
Yeah, that's just the cities that were covered up with the mud floods, and they just build on top of them.
And that the Tartaria, man, that's some real stuff, you know.
That all happened, started in 1776. All that, with
Yeah.
the Rothschilds. Yeah, they bought the Catholic Church. They own the Catholic Church.
Yeah, so we don't want to act like we know too much, Craig, because we might end up, you know, in a pair of
I don't know
concrete
nothing. I
boots.
got brain damage.
Next thing you
I'm
know, they'll
mentally
come to
ill.
your house and they'll put something in your marijuana to
Well,
make
as long as I admit I'm mentally ill,
as
there's
long
nothing.
as you get high, you don't care.
Yeah.
Earlier, Craig goes, "This is the first joint I've smoked all day," and then he goes, "You
No,
know, I just can't get high anymore
I
on
can't.
anything."
I can't. Yeah, I'm smoking this shit that's over 50% THC, and I can't even get high on it. Yeah, I finished off that bottle of Crown Royal the other day. There was about an inch left in the bottle. I finished it off. I didn't even get a buzz. I don't
Damn,
know.
man. You know what? I told those guys before they came over there to water that whiskey down. So I said, "Look, he's already stumbling out on the porch, breaking his neck. You don't need to go over there and bring him more whiskey so he can do it again."
The only
So,
liquor I got in that, well, I got a couple of bottles of that Hell House whiskey here, but they're sealed. But I got some Baileys. I drink Baileys.
yeah, that's why you don't, you know, in the morning you get up, you drink that Bailey's and you go, "I don't feel like doing nothing and I can't get high," because you're already high on the Bailey's, man.
Oh God, I'm
And then
high
and
on
then he
fire.
goes, "You know what? I need to get all those prizes." And then he's like, "Screw it. I ain't gonna do that." And he has some
No,
of
I'm
those
I'm
Baileys.
I'm I'm seriously getting all that stuff together.
Yeah.
I'll get those prizes out for you fat bastards lose any weight. That's for goddamn sure. I guarantee that.
Oh, okay. Well, anything else you got before I jump into the comments, Craig?
No, let's just do it.
Yeah, 235 comments, and I lost count on Kimmy's after 100. So, Kimmy, you know, Kimmy, man, she works hard on those comments too. I'm telling you. I tell you what, she's a good fan, and anybody who comments that much, keep them coming, Kimmy. We love your comments, man. We don't care. You comment all you want, and and we appreciate it. But LS Freebird says, Craig, you never did a guitar string change out episode or where you put a guitar string on there on the podcast. If you did, I missed it. And then Kitty on the reply says, yes, he did. It was on the Saturday night special with Kathy Godsey. He did one string. I didn't see that.
I don't remember. I said I was going to. I don't think I ever did though.
Yeah, what were you going to do? String a guitar on the podcast?
I was
I don't
just
know.
gonna string one string to show how I do the lock wrap. Then I explained how to do it.
You didn't do that on the Saturday night
I don't.
special?
I don't think I did. I did something. I don't remember.
Okay. Well, you get.
I don't
you
think
get
I showed how to do a string.
No, if you ever want to, and
I
you get the
explained how
chance,
I
you
do it.
you can do it on the next podcast if you feel like it.
I have to get a camera set and get a place set. It's difficult.
Well, I'll work on it. I'll see if I can get him talked into that.
I'm a perfectionist. I just can't do it half-ass.
Well, if you're only doing one string, you know,
Well, if
and
I get it set up, I might as well do them all. No, just one's all you need. They're all
yeah,
they're all the same. You do them all the same. So.
then you got plenty of packs of strings laying around there, huh?
I got some strings laying around.
Yeah. Are they strings that Skinner would have used?
No, I don't think I'm in any Dean Markleys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brian Gibbons says a lot of these Skinnerd questions are repetitive, but I have noticed Craig remembering a little more with each repetitive question. He seems to get a little bit more memory regained on them all. So yeah. So if you ask a question that we've already talked about, then you don't know, man. And Craig might go off and go into another story. So if I see one in here, I don't necessarily not read the question because Craig's already talked about it. Just with the hopes that Craig will connect another brain cell together and have more information on that question. So yeah, I agree with you, Brian. That's true. That's a true statement. And then BBS, did Billy ever write a song? Did Billy ever write a song?
No, he didn't write any words. He wrote music, but
But all those piano parts are his.
Yeah, all
his
those are
composition, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah,
that
he wrote all
Freebird, when he
the
did the Freebird, were you there when the first time you heard Billy do it? What did you think about? Were you like,
play Freebird?
yeah,
Well, he played when I started. He was playing Freebird on a Wurlitzer, that little electric piano. I mean, it was good, but
well,
after he got onto Baby Grand, it extended some.
yeah.
Yeah, after he got that Baby Grand, man, he come into sound checks and play a bunch of he didn't play no classical stuff on that Wurlitzer. He just picked around on it. But after he got that Baby Grand, man, he'd come into sound check. He'd tear into some classical stuff, man. It was like God.
Was that Baby Grand his or was it a rental?
Yeah.
Who bought it? Who bought it? The band bought it for him?
I think he bought it. I'm not sure. It was his. I guess he bought it. Yeah. They had to buy their own instruments. The band bought their equipment. Well, they got most of their equipment from Peavy, but yeah, they had to buy their own guitars. The band didn't buy their guitars.
That's a pretty big item, though. It's a damn piano, a baby.
It was about 10 grand, I think, back in the days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like buying a car, huh?
Something like that.
Yeah. But then moving it around, he didn't have to do anything with that. That's all expenses of the band.
Yeah. We had to buy a case to put it in, and yeah, that's all band.
But that changed the game there when he got that Baby Grand.
Oh
huh?
Yeah, that's what people looked for, that white piano up on stage. Yeah.
Yeah, and
there was a couple of bands that went and got him a white piano after Billy went and got his. Charlie Daniels. God, don't tell me I'm gonna forget Charlie's piano player's name. Oh my God! Yeah, it happened. Oh, I can't.
Didn't you say you were getting ready to take a bath, and then Chad called you and?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we're supposed to start these about 7 now. We're supposed to start them, but we're starting them earlier now.
You just ain't
Griff.
woke
I
up
said,
yet,
I
man.
called Griff. I said, man, it was 6:30. I said, I'm just getting in the tub. I'm going to be about 20 minutes late. And I just got in the bathtub. Ding, ling, ling, ling. Chad called. What the hell are you doing calling me? You,
Yeah, I don't mess around to call Craig. And if Craig knows that the phone rings before the podcast, I'm probably calling him to tell him I ain't doing it. Either that or there's something else that's a major because I don't mess with him when he's getting ready for he got to get in that tub and he stays in there with that water temperature has to be a certain temperature and he's got this whole thing going on in there with a rubber duck
oh
and
yeah,
all of that
if it's
shit.
not hot enough, I get depressed. It's got to be hot, hot.
And then he dunks his head under the tub water for a
No, I
certain
don't
length
do
of.
that anymore.
No?
Mm-mm.
Why? Why
Um,
were you doing it to begin with?
well, I got real hard water, and I got one of those shower things that's got it's got a thing in it that's got stuff in it that
Water
takes.
softener?
Yeah, it's got a filter system in the water head, and it's got stuff in there that takes the hardness out of the water. So I don't put my head on.
Oh, because it might be a chemical thing that's gonna.
No, that hard water, that rust. Women with come here with bleached blonde hair, and it turns their hair orange. The water does, yeah. Yeah,
Maybe
my
that's
last
what.
wife, I think that's why she divorced me. She hated this water. Her hair was always orange.
Maybe that's what's wrong with Trump's water.
Yeah, he's got hard water.
You got a lot of iron in your water, probably. It's usually
It
what the
doesn't
problem.
smell. Other people say that it has a little odor, but I don't. I guess I'm just used to it. It's not stinky stink like sulfur water down in Florida.
Yeah, that's some nasty. That'll turn your hair green, actually.
It's just got rust in it. Hard
And
water.
then Donald Johnson asks, any news on Gene's ring and the Lynyrd Skynyrd book? Remember, Gene had that ring for sale. I never had anybody even come close to offering to, hey, let me talk to Gene. Gene's got a gold ring and he wants to sell it. And I don't know what podcast it was. If anybody remembers what podcast number that was, if you don't mind, put it in the comments for the person who's asking. But yeah, he's got a gold ring, and somebody gave it to him, an old Indian chief or something, and he had it on during the plane crash, and he's trying to sell it. It's got some jewels in it. I think it. One of them might be a sapphire. I don't know, but go back and look at that podcast. And then he's got. Remember that book that you had that you went through, Craig, on the podcast? He's
Uh-huh.
got somebody gave him that same book that
That
Gary
big book?
signed. Yeah.
Really?
And
Wow.
Gary signed it. He's got one of those now.
Wow.
He act like he didn't know where he got it from and wasn't even sure if it was his to give
Those
to
are all
sell.
marked. What number is it?
I could find out. But
The
that's a
first one the
book
guy
from.
brought was number 47, and that was like an $800 book. It was like
What was that book was over in Europe, wasn't it, Craig? Everything that happened in Europe or something?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was all their European tour. Photos from the European tour, I believe it was.
It was. I don't remember
And
now.
Gary signed it. And there's only like 240 of them or something.
Well, was 50 of the original. Those ones were like $800. But Donald Johnson, he had a couple of them. He had one that was number 200 and something, and it had a brown binding on it. And then he had another one that was a little higher number, and it had a white binding on it. And I actually liked the one with the white binding better, and it was the cheapest one. But yeah, those are nice books. They're
Next time I go over to Gene's, I'll do an update on that
That
stuff.
thing's at least 2 inches thick. It's at least 2 inches.
I was having Gene come over to go bass fishing, but it kind of kicks his ass, man. When he comes over, he came over the last time. Remember, he got mugged on the side of the freaking road by a couple Venezuelans. Remember that, Craig? He came over and he went
Yeah,
fishing,
sure did.
and I said, "Man," I said, "this is how you go." And I drew him a map, and he got turned the wrong way, and he was out in the middle of the green swamp, and said a couple of ethnicity people tried to mug him. And he said, "You don't know who you're messing with," and he kicked their asses and made it home. And yeah, so I kind of, was scared to ask him to come go fishing again, man, unless he won't spend the night. He will not spend the night.
Where in the hell do you fish at, man? You catch some nice fish where you've been fishing.
There's a whole chain of lakes, right? I have a lake at the end of my road, but I got a couple little honey holes that I've been working on and trying to find out where they were hanging out. And I finally figured out where they're at. It took me a
That's
little
right.
while.
You live down there near Lakeland. There's a bunch of lakes down
Yeah, there's a bunch. I caught like a 5-pounder. It was just shy of 5 pounds yesterday. And
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that was a nice fish.
yeah, it's it's just
What'd you
fun
catch
to-
it on, a worm?
Yeah, or what they call a
Rubber worm?
Senko worm. It's like there's some weird things they're doing now to catch bass. Like they'll hook a worm in the side and throw it underneath the dock and one of those Senkos and the bass just go crazy and they just knock the shit out of it, man. So yeah, and it's only when they're bedding that I go fishing because, I ain't got time to get out there and be all obsessed trying to catch a bass all year. It's only during when they're spawning that I go crazy for the fishing, and then I'm back to my normal stuff, like on the road with Griff Martin and things like that, which I plan on starting doing more of the on the road with Griff Martins. We still got to do that. Joe Crimp, the oak tree you're in my way. I got to go up there, and Joe Crimp is gonna take us to through the whole night what happened when him and Gary left the teen club, and they were on their way to Gary's house, and they actually hit an oak tree, but they ended up running into a telephone pole, and then they went in. It was the telephone pole. They didn't hit a tree. They hit a telephone pole, and then they went up in the garage and in the carport of somebody's house is what happened. But Joe's going to tell the whole story.
Phone pole in my way. That would
Yeah, Ronnie couldn't write telephone pole, you're in my way.
phone pole in my way. He could have done that. I don't know. Oak
Whiskey
tree.
bottles, brand new cars, phone pole, you're in my way.
Phone pole in my way.
Yeah, that would work.
Hey, did you get that thing that somebody said about the bionic eye, and they were saying, "Hey, look at this would work for a Gene." A bionic.
No, I didn't see that, man.
Yeah, some guy sent me one. Hell, I need one.
Really?
Yeah, bionic eye. They've got them down now. Yeah,
Damn.
they got them perfected now.
What do they Bluetooth that to your brain or what?
I don't know. Yeah.
Just go get the vaccine and they put that eye in, and the next thing you can see.
Yeah,
man.
bionic eye. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, damn.
I imagine
I was
it'd be
fishing
pretty
with Gene,
expensive.
and he goes, "I'm gonna tell you right now, I only got one eye left. Don't be going crazy with that freaking lure." He's a crazy man. He's crazy. Oh, then see here, Donald Johnson says again. He goes, Griff, I went out and looked at Alan's car, and the roof is leaking pretty bad, and every storm that comes, it's raining into the car. That's what he said. He said that roof is is
Yeah.
pretty much leaking.
It's got that half landau roof on it, and right there where it split, yeah, there's a hole there.
What we need to figure out, man, there's a lot of you guys on this podcast that know guys, that know guys, that know guys, and we need some help for somebody that it ain't going to cause Craig a bunch of problem, like
Warren
called
me. Warren called me just a couple of days ago. He was supposed to come up today. Said he was going to come up today and work on getting the doors open. Hit the JB blaster and blast them in there, but it rained today, so.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a positive direction to move in.
Yeah. Warren, he's
because the weather's not all that great, and he's the one who mentioned when the weather gets better, we'll work on it. So as long as somebody's, but if somebody that is doing a podcast and they want to come get that Allen car running on a podcast, and we can link up with them, and that would help our subscribers. And we could bring Warren over there, and he could kind of be on the whole thing and just have a party with it, and then get some more viewers out of it. Maybe would be cool.
Yeah,
and then get Allen's car up and going again at the same time.
YouTube ain't gonna give us no money to give away, so.
Yeah, they're going to keep taking away our subscribers.
Discouraged with that whole scene. We're just doing this for the people that want to know some shit, Now,
here's a very savvy viewer, and nobody has really ever asked this question, and I guarantee you Craig probably won't answer it. And she's got Dale Krantz mixed up with Gail. She's calling Dale Gale, and she says she wants to know what was it that Allen said to Gary and Dale that made Gary want to leave, and it caused Allen and Gary to get in a fight. I know what it is, and Craig ain't gonna say it. I'm just telling you right now.
He called Dale a word worse than bitch, or
he called Dale a name, huh?
Yeah, a lot worse than bitch.
Yeah, and Gary didn't like it, and
that's when they went outside and fought.
And Craig was there.
Oh yeah,
he was there when they broke up. Man.
Me and Dale are sitting there at the table. She said, "Aren't you gonna go stop them?" And I goes, "Dale, they've known each other all their life. You think I'm gonna go out there and get in between?"
Could you hear them out there?
We were watching them. We were sitting in the kitchen watching them. They were right outside by the pool. We watched the whole thing.
Were they swinging at each other and falling down and shit?
Yeah, I was sitting there hitting the pipe, and they were sitting there.
How long were they out there, man?
It was only out there about 5 minutes.
What made them stop?
About a 3-minute round, and they were inside, and they'd hit the pipe and go back out and fight some more.
And then how did the night end up?
Gary and Dale left, and there wasn't no screaming or hollering or nothing. They just left, and then that was it. They left, and when they left town.
Is that right about the time that Dale wrote Getaway?
No, she wrote that way. That was one of the first songs she wrote in '80.
Oh, okay.
That fight was in '83.
So what?
83.
Because that would make sense, that Getaway, because that's what the whole thing was about, man. It was pretty much, just all the shit that you guys were dealing with, right? I mean,
I think Getaway came from her previous life. Because that's one of the first songs she wrote, I believe, if I'm remembering right.
I imagine
I'm feeling the pain of getting nowhere again and living my life in the fast lane.
And then she talks about the Takers.
Watching my world in vain. I just gotta
Yeah, the takers and the wannabes and the this and the
get
that.
away from the takers and the soap opera scene. Get away
Yeah,
from
the busy life and the
all that masquerade. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think
That's
that
a
came
great
from that.
song, man. That's
Oh,
a
that's a
great
cool
song.
song. Yeah.
You
And
got
Six Gun did it incredibly well. Yeah.
if you want to see that and Six Gun perform that, go to the Griff Martin files and just type in
Seda, yeah, she did a
Six
very good
Gun,
job on that.
Seda Lane, and Getaway, and that's a
And
Griff Martin production right there, man. You know those Griff
yeah,
Martin productions, they're videotaped pretty good.
and yeah, and Zach
Oh,
and
they nail it. They nail it, man. Better than anybody I've ever heard.
what's his next name again?
Gentry,
Nick
Smick,
Gentry. What's his Schmick? That's it.
Smick.
Smick.
Yeah,
Smick.
Smick.
Yeah,
Gene
he must
nicknamed
like
him
that
Smick.
name. He's got stencils made with Schmick on them.
Oh yeah, he does. I made a necklace
Nick.
for him, a dog tag, and I put Nick on it, and I spelled it with two I's. But yeah, he man, they got a great. When they do that Getaway. Six Gun does a absolute, and they do. What was it? The needle and the spoon that they do.
The smell.
The smell.
Smell.
Yeah, the
They
smell.
did
They
really,
do the smell.
they
Oh
did
my
that
God.
really good. Yeah, I was blown
Yeah.
away by that.
Yeah, and but we don't hear much from them anymore. I hope they're doing all right. Let me see.
I think they did smell as good as the tribute band.
Yeah, I would say.
I think they do. Yeah, they do
Yeah.
a great song. They do a good job on that.
Joseph Yema said he saw a video where Artemis said Gene was a bad man for selling shirts and stuff. And he says Gene has every right to do that. Who knows why Gene and Artemis? It's just a lot of. I think what happened is they got on the bandwagon. They were mad at each other, and then they started relentlessly attacking each other, and to the point to where there's so much freaking water under the bridge that neither one of them can get around to. Hopefully, they'll be friends again. I don't know how it'll happen, but they hate each
Everybody
other.
sells shirts, except for me. Shirts are a pain in the ass.
They are a pain in the
They're a
ass.
pain. There's no money in them. They're a pain in the ass. By the time you get it, by the time you get the artwork, pay to get the artwork done, and then pay to get a bunch of shirts made, and then ship them out. There's no money in them.
I got shirts that, and people probably don't even know I have them because I don't push them. But if you go to the merchandise on the Griff Martin files, there's a merchandise video. It's got everything I got for sale. So if anybody wants to go, if they want to buy a sticker, a shirt, a poster, Hell House poster, band poster, all of that stuff is on the Griff Martin merchandise video on the Griff Martin files. Check it out.
Before shipping got so damn ridiculous, it was kind of almost worth it. But since then, shit, it cost $8 to send out a damn shirt.
Yeah, well, Gene, he sells books, shirts, posters, and things. But if there's a concert, I'm gonna go over there. I'm gonna sell my stuff, and then a lot of times he'll tell me he went in the hole by the time he paid for gas. So Gene,
Yeah.
he tries, man, and he's got like 3 books out there, and he doesn't make much money off anything really. So that's why we try to help him out off the podcast. Cake Girl says it would be a good idea if the tribute bands entering the contest would just send Griff a video so he wouldn't have to go record them. Well, the problem with that is I want it to be fair. It's all about fair. And if they send a video that's not that good, like the sound quality sucks, or the video's not any good, that way if I do them, they'll all suck. So you don't have to you don't have to worry about it. Everybody will be the same. But I'm not discounting that. That sounds great. I I got to start reaching out to some of these people and seeing if they're even interested in it, because I'm just talking about it and without even talking to any. I haven't talked to one single tribute band yet about that idea, and because I'm trying to see if it's even going to work first before I go.
I think everybody runs a machine off the board to listen to their self back. If they don't, they're foolish. They need to. If they don't,
Yeah, and it could be just if you don't take the time and make yourself a good video and send it in, and if it's a crappy video, then your entry is going to be a crappy entry. So she might have something there.
even Skinner,
Because
Skinner used to audio record every show, and they had Kevin go get it was a thing called a head, and he'd stick it out like it was just a person standing there listening. It was just a head that had microphones in it, and it was just like somebody standing there. It was in their ear canals and everything. It was just like somebody standing there listening to it, So that way the band could hear what the people are hearing,
well, all of the
It wasn't
tribute
right
bands,
off the board. It was what the people heard.
yeah, all the tribute bands have a board. So if I can plug into their board and record them, and it'll all be pretty close to being fair. And I'd like to at least have a $5,000 prize. At least I'd like to figure out how to do that. And then they get a big trophy and maybe some other stuff, complimentary stuff, like if we can get somebody to throw in some recording time at a recording studio or something like that, But and then the winner,
Muscle Shoals isn't there anymore, is it?
yeah, it's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the winner, what we would do is we'd try to find a really cool band that's popular and just have them open up for that band, and then give them their trophy and their prize at the concert, and then we would, have a little celebration about it. That's kind of like what I'm thinking, and I've talked to Gene about it, and so we'll start looking at it a little harder, and maybe I'll make some phone calls, but it'd have to be somewhere centrally located. And they were thinking Mark Frank, I think he knows somebody, or he has connections to maybe a airplane hangar at the airport there where you guys took off before you crashed. We were thinking about that, something like that. So it's like whenever I paint a painting, Craig, I'll paint some and then I'll walk away from it. And every time I walk by it, I'll look at it and I'll go, "Oh, that shit don't look right." And then I'll fix it. So that's what I'm doing with this.
As summertime's coming, maybe we could arrange it somehow to where the winner would maybe get to be the opening act for some band that's up and coming.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Be the
there you go. That's
opening act for a up and coming band.
Yeah, maybe we could get on board.
That'd be a cool prize.
Yeah,
and the winner of a Lynyrd Skynyrd tribute band, that would be better than just some local band in some city or something.
Only problem was they couldn't play Lynyrd Skynyrd music, could they? At a big freaking event, could they?
Yeah.
Well, Artimus does it. Yeah, I guess that's a great idea, man. That's a great idea. Who says you're brain dead?
Me.
That's a great
I can identify. I'm not brain dead. I can just identify with all my mental illnesses, and
that's probably the best idea I've heard yet, right there.
Well, you have to know somebody to do that.
Well, Ted Nugent.
I might be able to know somebody good enough I know a few people, kind of run the idea by them and go, "Hey, you need any opening bands this year for a band that's up and coming?" And go, "Well, that's what Skynyrd, that's how Skynyrd got involved." This is a
Peter
tribute Townsend.
Band. This is
Peter Townsend. Peter Townsend said, "Hey, man, a opening band for us?" And he goes, "Yeah, I got this perfect band for you." That's all. That's all they were at the time.
What do you think we should open it up to any band and they just play 3 Lynyrd Skynyrd songs, and then that way they've got their own music. If they open up for a band, they can play their own original shit, or those are the kind of things I'm talking about.
Well, tribute bands are pretty popular these days. You know, a Lynyrd Skynyrd tribute band opening up for, these guys won they're the best tribute band is say the Stone Roadie show.
I mean, I'm all about that, man. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Might be able to put some. You don't never know unless you try.
Well, it's just like fishing. You don't catch anything till you put your worm in there, man.
Well, we do know people like Steve Lawler, who's
right,
is a promoter rep, and he's kind of really right on the inside of that. He could, maybe know somebody that's looking for an opening band. There's always bands looking for a cheap opening band because nobody.
And what we want to do is we want to play the videos of all the people that are in the contest and let the Stone Roadie subscribers decide until you get to the last 2. And then the last 2 will be judged by people like Gene and Craig and maybe Joe Barnes, and we'll get maybe Derek Hess, Randall Hall, Kevin Elson. Those guys.
Kevin would do something like that.
Yeah, he'd do something like that.
He just don't want to get on a podcast or nothing.
Yeah, so we'll start kicking that down the road, kick that can down the road, and see what can develop out of it. You never know. If you talk about it enough, it'll make itself happen. Just like Craig, he keeps saying he has brain damage. One day he really is going to have it if you don't watch out.
I do have it. Ask any of my ex-wife. Hell, anybody that's been married 5 times, gotta have brain. Gotta have brain damage. Oh, and while I'm thinking about it, I talked to my second wife quite a bit. She says, "Man, when you talk about all your wives, don't involve me in there.
Why?"
Well, in a bad way, I guess. Because she's cool. My second one, she's cool. We didn't have any issues. We just
because you don't even remember getting divorced from her. That
wasn't anything to do with her. I was mentally ill then too. Well, she was my second one, so that was right after the plane crash. So yeah, I was seriously mentally ill then.
Carol, the cake girl, is the same one that asked that question. She made that comment which is a great idea, Carol, by the way. And she also asks, were any of the other band members, other than Ronnie, she wants to know what direction were they wanting to go? Did they have any kind of a dream or anything? Like, say, Gary, was he wanting to do the same thing as Ronnie? Well, what were their thoughts about the future of Lynyrd Skynyrd?
I don't know. I think Alan was kind of leaning country, kind of like Ronnie.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about Gary. He had all kind of different interests. I don't know which avenue he would have taken, but after Steve came into the picture, I think the whole outlook, everybody's outlook changed, because Steve took the whole thing into a little crossroad. He said, "Hey, here's another one."
It would be interesting because
I think Steve really woke them all up. I mean,
they were kind of like when he came
Alan,
around,
especially, man, Alan's like, whoa.
It's like, oh shit, Alan's I better get on my game.
Yeah, they like Alan and Steve, man. They sat in that Riverside studio, eye to eye, man, just sitting there, lick for lick.
No kidding.
Like
You got to see that shit.
like the thing in Crossroads where the devil and that kid was
Oh, yeah.
yeah, going out, and it just because Steve knew a lot of different, I don't know, different kind of music. I don't know. I'm not a musician, so just different. The Detroit type feel, I guess. It's a little different.
Yeah, it was a whole different type of music that Steve played, which complemented Lynyrd Skynyrd. It brought him kind of like Ed King complimented, the way what's weird about how Ed kind of gave him more of a chicken scratch. It's almost like Ed was making fun of the band with his guitar, but it worked, so he's kind of like, these rednecks need some chicken scratching in it,
Chicken picking.
Well, I tell you what, that the guy who mentioned Bob, that Lynyrd Skynyrd tribute tour, September 25th, 1988. Go look that up on YouTube. It's a phenomenal video, man. Phenomenal. And Gary is like, it's so clear, all the notes and Gary's picking. And I didn't watch all of it. I just went to that one area where he was talking about it. And I'm going to go back and watch that again. That was really cool.
Yeah, when they first started, that they were really into that tribute band thing. That's when Randall was in the band, and Ed Randall, 88. Yeah.
Joseph Yema asked, did they ever do a drug test and alcohol test on the pilots after the crash? I think they did, and I think they were clean. Pretty sure.
Wasn't
right,
the pilot? I read something. The pilot was decapitated.
Was he? Yeah, that's right. I think he was.
I think he said that's what somebody said.
But they could still do a blood test, they could still do that. Yeah. But I don't think they had anything. No, they just ran out of gas, man. And Gene will tell you because the plane took a trip to Georgia and got some cocaine. And
there wasn't no cocaine on that plane.
And
I'd have known about it.
No, because they whoever needed it got what they wanted, and then now they were short gas. But that's what Gene swears, man. He swears by that.
There wasn't no cocaine on that plane.
Telling you, man. He's told me that story, and I know he's told other people.
Well, they wasn't on the plane. They didn't find any. If they did, somebody took it. Which is possible. They took a bunch of my stuff.
I saw a video of Gene at the cemetery, and there's this real big fat guy, man, and he's like videotaping Gene, and Gene is just saying some shit, and I'm not going to say who he's saying it about, but he's saying some stuff, and it's like, if that person ever heard it, and I don't think they ever have, and it's out there on YouTube, and it's really bad. It's really bad. And I told Gene, I said, Gene, man, that video's out there. I said, I could probably find it. And he goes, I don't give a shit.
Us old people don't care.
He said, you think I give a shit? He goes, if I said it and it's on tape, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I said, all right, man. I said, yeah.
I know exactly how he feels.
And then he goes, well, what was it about? And I told him, and he goes, yeah, I'd still agree with that. Oh, my God.
I still got all that in there.
Yeah.
Of course, I got a bunch of different.
That's the second jar.
This is the one. This is the first one.
Is that the first one? It's a different jar.
Oh, it's got the red top on it.
And then you got a bag. Then you got a big bag.
I got a bag, and
you got a quarter pound.
Big bag and a little bag and another jar.
Where in the heck is it?
There are benefits to this gig.
Jeff says, he goes, Craig. He knows Craig doesn't want to write a book. He says, but if you wrote a book, Craig, it would raise a lot of money for the survivors. Well, if Craig wrote a book, I think he'd want to keep the money for himself. You wouldn't want to donate it to the, oh, you're a survivor yourself. So, yeah, so I don't think.
Yeah,
Craig, I don't think
I'd
Craig's
like
gonna write
to
a
leave a
book
little
either.
bit to my grandkids, to my
Yeah.
inheritance.
And David Hester, on the quality of weed, he said back in the day, he had some weed that when you blew a shotgun, the sap from the smoke would be on your face and it'd be sticky on your face. He said,
That's bullshit.
he said, we had some good weed back then. And he said, that's bullshit if we say we don't have good weed back then. Well, we did have good weed back then.
It wasn't nothing that good, though.
But you know what, though, Craig? If you think about it, blowing a shotgun, that was stupid, man.
Oh, blowing a shotgun. Oh, yeah. I guess that's kind of possible.
Yeah, he was talking about if you blow a shotgun and you get smoking, but it's supposed to go in your mouth, not on your face, man. It's supposed to be.
Well, it went kind of, yeah.
I remember
I never cared to get shotguns.
You know what we would do, Craig? We would be smoking a joint, right? And we didn't get all the seeds out of the weed before. And one of the seeds would start like gassing, and we'd be, hey, it's gassing, and we'd snort it. We'd like snort that smoke coming out of the seed. We were ate up, man, with trying to get high back then. It was just crazy.
I ruined so many shirts and stuff, damn seed falling on it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, God. I burned.
But you don't see seeds anymore in the marijuana.
No.
I don't think they have them in there, do they? Well.
Yeah, I burned holes and all kind of shit, man. Jesus.
Yeah. I remember one friend of mine, I won't tell you his name because he watches a podcast, and he, I went over to his house one day, and he had a frying pan, and he had a whole bottle of pot seeds, and he dumped them in a frying pan with some oil, and he had a lid on it, and he was trying to pop it like popcorn, so he was gonna pop the pot seeds, and it was gonna pop like popcorn, and he was gonna eat it and get high. It didn't pop like popcorn, it just burned. He thought it was going to pop like a kernel of corn, See, that's one of those things, Craig. If you don't like it, he ain't going to laugh. Our last podcast, I said, if you tell a joke and Craig don't like it, he ain't going to laugh. Sometimes you laugh whenever your friend tells you a joke and, and just for the hell of it, to make him feel better.
Well, I'm rolling a joint here, right?
Well, that's a true story, man. I thought it was pretty creative if it would have worked, just think about all the seeds. Remember all the seeds that you had?
Oh God.
Yeah, I mean, jeez. And they were like Mexican seeds, those old Mexican seeds.
God.
Or Jamaican. Jamaican was the trash weed of the era. Remember? Oh, that's some old shitty Jamaican. Right? Don't you remember the Jamaican?
Oh God, yeah. Sure do.
And then there's the Maui Wowie, and down here we have what they call the Micanopy Madness, and the Gainesville Green.
Yeah, oh yeah, I remember that.
You remember the Gainesville Green?
Oh God, yeah.
Yes, because all that area up around there, Micanopy and Gainesville, is like bottom land for this big lake that used to be there. They call it the Prairie, and everything grows there really good, and that's why they was growing a bunch of weed in that area because it was so fertile. It was actually bottom land, and that's where all the hippies would go because they were all going to college and they couldn't afford, they weren't working and they couldn't, they had to have bills, and so they would grow and sell weed up there in Gainesville, up there where Tom Petty's from. And Robert Glickbarg, which this is a new guy, Robert, says y'all He says, "Yay, yay!" He says, "More music, more Southern rock, and maybe some interviews with some bands is what we need to do." Well, yeah, we're changing the format a little bit here. We'll start getting back into the on the road with Griff Martin. I'll start doing some more recordings, and if we have this contest, you'll get to see all kinds of cool stuff because I'll videotape all the bands and I'll interview each one of the band members and talk to them and stuff like that. So it'll be fun if we do that.
Yeah, when
So-
you go talk to Joe Crimp, Steve Reynolds, he's put together another episode for us too.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. He said next time Griff comes up, I got some bunch of stuff I can
Well,
show.
I'll make a point just to go up there and see him then.
Yeah. He's got a bunch of equipment I think that he got from Alan and stuff.
And Kent Griffith, he's got a PV amp for sale. It's not a PV Mace. I forget what it was. It's that practice amp. What's the name of it, Craig? That
Bandit? Is it a Bandit? No, it's
he's going to
Pacer.
Pacer. Yeah, it's a Pacer. He's going to make a video of it, and I don't think I am supposed to tell you. There's somebody's using that amp for a recording, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say who it is or not. But that's a pretty cool amp. It sounds really good. And you can use it for recording. Not so much, I think, for large gigs, but like if you were playing smaller gigs, it would be all right. Who was it you said used a hog nose?
Pig Nose. Roger McGuinn.
Roger McGuinn, yeah.
Played
Pig
a
nose.
concert with a dang pig nose and just put a microphone in front of it. Yeah, it sounded great.
That's just like a little tiny box, isn't it? That
Yeah,
pig nose?
just a little. Yeah,
I knew somebody that had one of those one time and it didn't work, and he was trying to fix it. And then I came
had
over and
one.
he gave it to somebody else. Yeah. It had like a lot of distortion in it, didn't it?
They sounded really good, man.
Yeah, they got
My
some
buddy
stuff
came over
similar
the
to
other
that.
day, had an old Fender Champ.
Yeah, that Guitar Center's got a really cool little amp I saw down there that sounds great, man. It sounds just like a big Marshall. You could probably put a PA on that thing. Nobody ever know the difference. John Rafferty says in the 1920s and the 1930s, a worker at a national guitar shop lost his eye to a string snapping during a setup, or so the story goes.
Yeah,
Yeah, you were talking
easily
about
happened.
stringing them and how some of these guys like to cut the string off long and
Oh, they
Yeah,
got
there's-
those strings hanging. Yeah, that'll poke somebody's eye out. Yeah.
yeah, those strings, man, they
Oh, they'll go right through your eyeball. You turn around and that thing hits you in the eyeball, they go right through it.
oh shit. I don't even want to think about that, man. Don't even want to think about it. That's why I wear my glasses, when I do stuff like that anyway, because I can't see, but I imagine could get behind the glasses and then I'd be like Gene. John Morrow asked, did Leslie Hawkins sing backup to One More Time? He says it's one of his favorites.
I
Well,
don't remember that.
well, maybe in the recording you can hear backup singers. Is that why you're asking, John? I'll have to go listen to that. So you don't know the answer to that, huh, Craig?
Mm-mm. No, in the studio they use different people.
Yeah, they didn't necessarily use because in Muscle Shoals they didn't have any honkettes.
Usually
They had-
black women.
Yeah. David Selder says there's really a really great guitar change between a Roadie and Stevie Ray Vaughan on YouTube. He says it's pretty easy to find. So I guess you can Google YouTube and Stevie Ray Vaughan guitar change and maybe check that out. He says it's a pretty cool. I'll have to take a look at that.
Dave He shaved, man. He looks like a whole different person. He's like, cut my winter fuzz off. He looks like a whole different.
Who?
He's like Artemis. He don't even look the same.
Who's that? Who,
The
Craig?
guy that just answered that question, Dave Sellers.
Oh, Dave Sellers, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I saw a picture of him. He's like Artemis. He don't even look like the same person.
Autumn Honecker wants to know, did you guys ever do anything with the Eagles, and did you meet any of them? You met
Oh
Joe
God,
Walsh.
yeah. We were in the studio with the Eagles for a month.
Yeah, that's where you met
We
John
played
Lennon.
pinball and pinball with all those guys. For God, hours at a time. We talked to them. I talked to Glenn Fry a lot playing Odan Woden and the Fire Gods. That was the name of that pinball machine.
Oh, you and him played that machine?
Oh God, yeah. All of us played that machine. Wotan, Odin, and the Fire Gods.
I bet if you like ran into one of those guys, Don Henley or something, and you mentioned that, he'd go, "Oh yeah, I
Oh
remember
God,
that."
yeah. If you mention that pinball machine, yeah, oh God, yeah, we'd all remember that. We all played that thing for hours.
Well, while you were waiting on him to
Yeah, and that only one person at a time is always recording something in the studio. There's just, and you're either sitting in the control room listening to them or doing something else, and we'd be out there playing pinball.
yeah, and what's great about those pinball machines is you can play doubles. You can play people. You can play.
Oh, there was like 4 people could play on that one.
Yeah, those things are. I don't know why they went away. Are they? I don't see them anywhere. Pinball machines are freaking awesome, man. It's like the greatest invention there ever was. You go get a buzz and go play pinball and foosball. Did you ever play foosball, Craig?
I never liked foosball, no.
I wasn't very good at it, but all my buddies were like really good at it.
No, I never played foosball. Or air hockey. I never played that much either.
And Ronnie asks, "Hey man, I want you to put that Mike Estes at the beginning more." Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'll try to remember to put that on the beginning of this one here, Mike Estes. I have to see where a lot of times I go through my stuff and I find it, and I don't know where I put that. So if it's not on here, I didn't find it, and I'm probably editing something else, but I'll try. And then Wayne says, Peavy is a Mississippi Marshall. Where was Peavy made?
Meridian, Mississippi.
Yeah, that's a Mississippi Marshall. That's what he's talking about. Chip Crewy wants to know, Craig, why did they need Ricky Medlock at Muscle Shoals? Why couldn't they have either Artimus or Bob Burns there?
Ricky was the drummer when they went to Muscle Shoals.
That was before Bob?
Bob quit. Bob quit, and Ricky was just got back from New York, and he was kind of discouraged with what was going on, and he called Alan and goes, "Hey Alan, man, you need a roadie or anything?" He said, I just got to get a change of pace or something. And Alan said, "Man, do you still play drums?" And Ricky said, "Well, yeah, I haven't played for a while, but I've been a guitar player for my band, but I still got my chops." He said, "Well, call Ronnie." So Ricky called Ronnie, and Ricky said, "Man, do you need a roadie or a truck driver or a dishwasher or something, man?" And Ronnie said, "Man, you still play drums?" And he goes, "Yeah." He says, "Well, our drummer quit, man. We need a drummer." So it was like 3 weeks later, they went to Muscle Shoals, from what I understand. And then Ricky did all the Muscle Shoals stuff. And then Ricky's got bronchitis or something. He doesn't have a lot of stamina, so he can't really be a drummer, So he realized that. And he told Ronnie, he said, I can't do it, man. He said, I can't do it, and that's when that time I think they had Bob and Ricky, so Ricky walked away and just left Bob there. From what I
So
understand,
Bob came back.
Bob came back. Yeah, when Bob came back, then they had two drummers, and Ricky said, "Man, Ronnie, I can't be a drummer. I got this lung problem, and I just can't do it."
Well, see, that's a great question. We've never ever talked about that ever before, I think, on the podcast. That's a first. That's a Stone Roadie
Ricky was the
exclusive.
drummer when they went to Muscle Souls. Ricky was in the band. He was the drummer. So people that say Ricky was never a part of the band, they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, so that makes him a part of the band, technically, officially.
He did the Muscle Soul stuff. He's the one that sang White Dove, and I think that kind of intimidated Ronnie a little bit. My point of, because Ronnie kind of, and then I heard another story where Ronnie said, "Man, you need to just go find yourself your own band or something."
He did.
Yeah. Yeah, you need, you're a singer, you're a guitar, you just need to go start your own band. So I hear Ricky tell his side of this, and I believe Ricky's side of the story. It sounds legitimate. The other stories didn't come from Ronnie, so they don't mean that much to me. The story I heard from Ricky seems logical.
Well, Andy Tanis, Ronnie told him, I better not see you doing roadie shit again because you need to be starting your own band. You don't need to be a roadie. Remember Andy Tanis telling us that?
But from what Ricky said, that all lines up with from what I've heard and what Ricky lines up with what Ricky said, and the thing about Ronnie telling Ricky, you better just go find your own band, and stuff. But I think Ronnie was a little intimidated by Ricky being around because Ricky's voice was, better in my opinion back then. And on that particular song, Ronnie could have never sang White Dove. Of course, Ronnie's voice is better on all the other songs, but when you're in Ronnie's position before you grow some legs, you don't know what the hell you're doing. At that point, he didn't know what the hell.
Well, who wrote White Dove?
Ricky, I believe, yeah.
Yeah.
Ricky was in a lot of different projects before Skynyrd. He was up in New York with a band, and they were.
Well, remember, he was on a weekly radio show when he was only like 5. According to that video that you told me about.
Ricky worked at a radio station. Yeah. When he was, he would fill in for people on the morning show that would go on vacation. They would call Ricky, and Ricky would come in and fill in for their morning show for a week or two, and he did that a few places all over the country. And I guess he got offered a gig as a radio DJ somewhere, but he said, "Man, I really want to get back into music. I don't want to be a DJ, But yeah, he did a morning show in various radio stations before all that even. Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. That's a great question. And then Patricia Lynn, she's she was watching the podcast from Dublin, Ireland. And then she asked, did Skinner ever tour Ireland?
Yeah, hell yeah, we did. We were all over Scotland, Ireland. Yeah, hell yeah.
What did they think about Skinner there in Ireland?
Oh, they went over phenomenally all over Europe, Japan. Yeah, they went over big time. Even now, Skinny Molly goes over.
Yeah.
Mike and them go over there all the time. God, they're like big time over there in Europe as a tribute band,
Yeah.
They play some original stuff.
They have quite a following. Yeah, they do have quite a following. And then Kimmy says, Griff, Ronnie says, if you can't smoke it, eat it, or drink it, don't mess with it. I guess I just said if you can't smoke it or drink it, but I guess he said eat it too. Did he say that? Kimmy, are you sure about that, Kimmy? I'll have to go listen to it. She might be right. She says, Ronnie says, if you can't smoke it, eat it, or drink it, don't mess with it. He says that on one after he's, in between songs on stage. So, all right, Kimmy, I'm going to trust you on that one, man.
Well, I always heard if you can't eat or smoke it or drink it, F it.
Yeah, that's what I was being nice, but so was Ronnie. And then Jimmy says, Craig, this is the last comment. Craig, when you mail out the prizes, will you please put a couple buds and a hunk of hash in mine before you send it out?
Who said that?
Jimmy.
Who?
Jimmy.
Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy. I don't know whoever Jimmy is.
I don't know who.
If I don't know, if I didn't write your last name, it's because I was in a hurry, Jimmy. But if you're serious, Craig might do that, man.
Well, there's a Jimmy J. There's a Jimmy J. And there's a lot of Jimmys. I know there's two Jimmys. There's a Jimmy J.
Which Jimmy do you think said it?
I don't know. I just remember the names, the Jimmy J, because I was going, hey, are you the same person? And they goes, no, because I thought you were trying to pull a fast one. Call it what, JJ and Jimmy. Yeah, it's JJ and Jimmy J, I think, or something. So you try to pull a past one, and they goes, no, we're two different people.
Yeah, I didn't write down his last name there. I was on number 24, and I was like, wow, I'm finally done. Because, I got to go through all those comments, man. It takes like a couple hours. While Craig's in there taking his bath, I'm writing all these freaking comments down, man. So, yeah, that's the end of the Stone Roadie comments and questions. And if you guys have any donations or anything like that, Craig's got his address up on the board and email, and just send them there to Craig Reed, and you can email him at thestoneroadie@gmail.com or P.O. Box 442, Green, Ohio 44232.
Yeah,
and that's it.
And you can put the crook on there too. Yeah, to Patricia Lynn, that's what she put on her.
Somebody in here was mentioning now they like the Monday format. They like it on Monday, so I guess we'll keep going on Monday.
Yeah, it kind of starts the week, Start the week, start your day the Stone Roadie way.
and this has been an extra long podcast too. I think it's almost 2 hours, isn't it?
Start your week with a wake and bake.
Probably an hour and 45 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
So.
That's what that's what the last one was.
Yeah.
Seems like we can jibber jabber that long, without much problem.
Yeah.
Now that we're professionals, and 300 is just right around the corner.
Yeah, it's just talking trash.
Yeah.
It's just like if you were, like in the tour bus or in the break room, and you bullshit with your buddies, that's all we're doing.
Yeah. So until podcast 300, happy trails to you until we meet again, and see you later, alligator, at a wild crocodile. And that was $2.99. 300 is next. Cut.
Yeah.